How's it going? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel, and in this corner of the internet, I make design and lifestyle related videos. If any of those topics interest you, consider subscribing and hit that bell for notifications. So, we are back in my kitchen, and I bet you know what that means. It is time for food. Another little tidbit about me, if you haven't noticed the subtlety in getting to know more about me in my previous videos, is that I am actually interested in the vintage aesthetic. Now, because of this, I had this idea that I wanted to combine both of my favorite things, food and the vintage aesthetic, combining that together, and that is why today we are going to be making a 1950s recipe of a pumpkin pie with candied pecans on top. Luckily, I was able to find this recipe in a 1950s cookbook, actually online, so I will link that down below so you can also try this recipe out yourself. Okay, so I've got to be honest up front, I have never actually made a pumpkin pie before in my entire life, let alone a pumpkin pie from a 1950s recipe. I feel like older cookbooks don't show as much directions exactly for how to make something in comparison to the modern day recipes. So I'm hoping I actually execute this okay. But you know, I think I have enough faith in my baking abilities, so you know, regardless, I feel like this will still taste good. Fingers crossed.
Hi, editing me here. Yeah, so the pie did taste fairly decent, but you know, other things happened that you will see later on. However, the recipe does work. I did manage to salvage it later on off screen, so I'll give you some of the tips I learned from that in the description box below.
So enough chit-chatting, I'm already hungry for pumpkin pie, so let's begin.
So first thing you'll want to do is, as it says, set oven for hot 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you're going to want to grab some sugar. You'll need half a cup of that. And off screen, I added in 1 tablespoon of flour. Once you have that done, you'll want to add a half teaspoon of salt. The next is a teaspoon of ginger. I was kind of dumb and thought it wanted an actual ginger root until I started baking, and then I realized that you can get ground ginger from a spice bottle. After that, you'll want 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Then add a 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. And a 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg. Then it says to mix all of the dry ingredients together in the large bowl. It says after to add the next 5 ingredients coming up to blend thoroughly all together in the one bowl instead of having it separate. But I have decided that the 2 eggs that you'll need, I wanted to kind of blend them together first, just so it wouldn't be as hard blending in all of the wet and dry ingredients together, since the eggs did need to be slightly beaten. So after the 2 eggs, you will need 1 1/4 cups of canned pumpkin, I'm using the measuring cups just to make sure it's thoroughly accurate. There was still a tiny bit left over after having the 1 1/4 cups. I was debating whether or not I should add that last bit left. And you know what? I kinda caved. I mean, what harm would it actually do? Just adding, like, it looked like maybe 1/8 of a cup, maybe even less than that, left that was in the can, and I didn't want to waste that. So after that, I added the 2 eggs, and then it called for 1 1/4 cups of milk. Next, I added a tablespoon of molasses. And the last thing you will want to add as a wet ingredient is 1 tablespoon of melted butter. You'll want to blend that thoroughly all together. Since it didn't call to have the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients separate from each other, I kind of wonder when that started to become a thing. This mixture looks a lot more runny and soupy than I thought it was going to turn out. Okay, so once everything is blended together nicely, you'll want to grab your unbaked 9-inch pie shell and pour everything in. Now make sure that the pie shell is the deep dished kind of pie. You'll also notice that once you pour everything in, it'll be kind of quite high, so you want to be extra careful when placing it into the oven because you do not want this to spill over. Now the instructions said that you have to bake the pie for 40 minutes, but since I'm going to add the pecans on top, those instructions said that in about 10 minutes before the pie finishes baking, sprinkle over the pumpkin, then return the pie to the oven for the remaining baking time to glaze. 15 minutes before the pie is done for the last round, I decided to start working on the pecans. They didn't specify how hot the stove needed to be, so I just put it on medium heat. Now you'll want to start out with 1 tablespoon of butter or margarine. Once you have that, you'll want to grab your brown sugar. You will need 2 tablespoons of that, and then for the pecans, you'll also have to have that, and it'll be a 3/4 cup of whole pecans, it says. Now in the recipe, it also mentioned that you'll want 1 tablespoon of grated orange peel, but I did not have that on hand with me, but I think it's okay to skip. After that, you'll want to blend it all together. Now the 30 minutes are over, it's time to put the pecans on top. Or so I thought. The pie was nowhere near ready, it was still very soupy. Oh, that is definitely not done yet. I feel like that should take a little longer. Looks a little too soupy on the inside. You guys can see that the pumpkin pie is still kind of moving around when I push it. And part of the crust is already burned. So that's never good. I think it's because I accidentally had some of the pumpkin pie already spill over to that side. So we're not gonna eat that side. But I think I need to put the pie back in the oven for an extra 10 minutes before I put the candied pecans. Okay, so the 10 minutes are over from the first time I tried baking it, and we're going to check it again. Now it said that the rim needed to be the only part that had to be baked all the way through before putting the pecans on top, and it seemed okay enough. I mean, the outer part was baked enough. So because of that, I kind of just decided that it was baked enough to put the pecans on top, and I went ahead and finally got to do that. So pie update, this is how it looks like now, with the pecans on top. You know, the pie's not looking too good, especially at the top over there. It's kind of burned. Ignore my oven. But yeah, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. The middle is still pretty soupy, and I'm gonna bake it again for another 10 minutes so the pecans will glaze over, and hopefully the pecan pie will be done. I mean, this crust is just no bueno at this point, but we're gonna keep trucking along. Okay, adding another 10 minutes so then the pecans can glaze, and you know, I really hoped by then the pie would be ready. Okay, let's try this again. Fingers crossed it is fully baked at this point, because I don't know what to do if it's not. Holy crap! Wow. Okay. Huh? It looks something. I don't know. Oh dear. Oh dear. This is what. Yeah. It's not how I pictured this turning out at all. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I let it stay in there too long or what, and it's still jiggly in the middle. Oh, this is bad. This is so not good. You guys, this looks really bad. This looks really, really bad. Do you see this? Oh no, I even burned like the pecans and it's still jiggling in the center. I feel like I have failed. I have failed the 1950s pecan pumpkin pie recipe. I'm so sorry. I tried. This is, you know, it's fine. We are learning from our mistakes here. I feel like part of the issue of why this is not baking correctly is because this is a modern day oven as compared to the 1950s oven, because they were made differently. So, you know, at least I have that for my defense. But yeah, this totally does not look good. Wow, this looks something. It's an interesting one. I feel like I should have baked the pumpkin pie on its own longer to sacrifice the rim of this crust and like hope that the rest of the crust didn't burn, and then have added the pecans on top, you know, and not have this issue of like burning the top. Do I like burnt flavor? Not like this. This is, yeah, I did a thing. I tried. It is, yeah, something. That's all I can say about that. So we're just gonna let this stand to cool for a little while before I actually decide to cut a piece, because I don't know how it's gonna be if I cut it right now. It's still a little soupy in the center, and so I'm afraid that if I cut this, it's just gonna run all over. So we're gonna give this, yeah, like a minute or so to cool off before I cut this. Okay, so I think I've given it enough time to cool down. I'm gonna cut a slice and see how it is. I'm a little afraid how this is gonna turn out, but you know what? How bad can it get from here? Okay, let me try and get a less burned part, which is like this section here. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. This is happening right now. Wow. 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 Oh my god. There's still steam coming off from it, and it's like really mushy. I need like a spatula and a spoon.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
It's not even coming out all the way. There, scooped everything from that cut. Woo. This is the final result of my slice that I cut, and yeah.
Okay, so we are here now. This took a lot longer than I expected. I also didn't expect this to turn out this bad. I have a spoon instead of a fork because I don't know how it's gonna really stay on a fork with the consistency of this. It's almost like pudding, if you will. The pie is still very warm. Probably should have cooled it down a lot more. I feel like it would have felt a lot better if I did that. I'm not even sure if this is all baked all the way, like in the middle section. I know for sure at least the side, like the rim closer to the pie crust, that's all the way cooked, so that's what I'm gonna try because, you know, I'm still hungry. I was waiting for the pie the whole time. I didn't snack in between. But yeah, I'm gonna follow through. You know, we are gonna follow through with this and we're gonna eat this. If you try this 1950s recipe yourself though, that I've left as a link, you know, in the description box below, you know, just use the hashtag #TrueJealousDesign so I can see your creation. I'm sure yours looks like way better than this mess right here, but I mean, it still smells good. If you know what I did that, you know, made this thing, you know, just let me know in the comments section below so I can improve it the next time. I mean, I still had fun with this, even though the outcome turned out really weird. I might actually do another 1950s baking video to redeem myself. But yeah, I'm a little hesitant. I'm gonna stop stalling now and we're gonna try this. Oh, I got the crust that wasn't as burned compared to the others, so maybe that'll help. Okay, I'm gonna just cut through here. This is a sizable bite. Okay, cheers. Okay, well, thoughts. There was some burnt parts in there when I was eating that, like the crust. It's not good. The pecans, overbaked for sure. There is a good plus side to this though. The pumpkin pie part that's like underneath all the burnt stuff, it actually tastes really good. So I think if I just baked it correctly and I didn't burn the whole thing, well, I didn't burn the whole thing, but you know, like I burned a good amount of it. If I just didn't eat the burnt part, this recipe is actually pretty solid. So I think I'm gonna go and try this again, especially for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and hope I don't screw it up that time. That way people will actually enjoy my pie. But yeah, I'm determined to try this again. pretty good. And if you like this video, regardless of the outcome, just let me know by giving this video a thumbs up and just comment down below, you know, how yours turned out. All right, I'm gonna go now and salvage what's left of this. So yeah, all right, see you in the next video. Bye.